How are you?
Come on in. I'm Lena, and I live in Stamford, Connecticut. I work in an office at a pizza place, and I'm a mega fan of Gogol Bordello. Well, my hobbies are making fashion projects for the band I love, Gogol Bordello. This includes sewing projects and also silk screening t-shirts. They play gypsy punk rock. I got into them in the early 2000s from my manager Masha. She's Ukrainian. The lead singer of the band Eugene's Ukrainian. I'm Ukrainian, so I fell in love with it immediately. What can I say about them? Their genre is called gypsy punk, so they're punk music with a gypsy feel, which is violins and or accordion. I've liked them for about 25 years now. And their first album I actually found at a Ukrainian festival here in Stamford. There was a vendor who had all these different CDs, and I was looking through them, and the first album was there, Voila, Intruder. And it was the only copy. I picked it up, and I love that album. It's a good piece of musical work. I would see Eugene, the lead singer, around the neighborhood. This is the East Village. Little things, like he'd be walking down the street one side, I'll be walking the other. I would shout out in Ukrainian like, hey. Or I'd pass him and be saying like in Ukrainian, oh, have a great tour coming up. So I always try to interact with him, and I tried to connect with our Ukrainianism. Since I met the band through Eugene's DJ nights over at Bulgarian bar, Mehanada, they would hang out there while he spun lots of different music. I felt like I had to offer something. I just didn't want to come there and take something, take a picture. It wasn't really until I started making gifts and projects and fashions for them that I got to know the band. The gifts I would bring were firstly Ukrainian breads, whether these traditional breads for Christmas or for Easter. I would bake. I felt like food is always a nice gift. I'd make little ornamentations that were kind of clever on these breads, and they were nicely received. And after that, I started thinking of different art projects or designs, and I made t-shirts. It's a reference to a Ukrainian symbol called a trezub, but I switched it up to make it a GB trident. It was during the period of Ukrainian revolution in Maidan, and Ukrainians were feeling very nationalistic, and he embraced the t-shirt I made and wore it that weekend at Terminal 5 for the New Year's Eve show. There was a time where my life revolved around Gogol Bordello. I would say a couple months, particularly when I wasn't working and I was really focused on my artistic projects for the band. And I went through a run of 7 shows within 8 days here on the East Coast. It was Jersey, upstate New York, Boston, Philly, New Haven. By the end, I was hospitalized. What would happen was running around made me go off the deep end. I had pushed myself too far. When I was back on the East Coast, it was a lot of hard work trying to coordinate how I'm gonna get to each of the shows, each of the venues. So I was driving around, figuring out where to drive, how to get gas money, how to get to the show. At the end of the tour, this was at New Haven, I was meeting my cousin and her boyfriend at the show. I was really out of my mind. And when I met with my cousin, she was terrified of my behavior. I was completely delusional, completely hyper, bouncing everywhere, climbing on people, jumping around, crowd surfing. And by the end of the show, I had lost my shoes, had thrown my wallet and purse up on the stage, didn't have my car keys, and was in the ladies' room hearing voices which weren't there. I felt that I was sick, and I knew I was at this point. I asked to see a medic, asked the staff if there was some kind of first aid, and they didn't have any, and offered to call an ambulance. And I left that last show being wheeled out to the ambulance and brought to the hospital. And the next day my family took me to Stamford Hospital, and then subsequently I had 3 hospitalizations that year. A lot of suicidal ideation, meaning I wanted to die. It was awful, and it's very embarrassing, and just shows what bipolar does sometimes. So the difference between running around and seeing all the shows I can and now is that I'm more settled. I work on projects from home and then share them with the band and other fans. I was able to get through a manic episode and the major depressions through a lot of different outlets. But a big part of my recovery was the Gogol Bordello family that I found and created. And one fan that I met was Tandalea, who's a really wonderful best friend of mine. And with Tandalea, we started collaborating and making costumes for the band. These are called Pussy Hat Vinoks. Vinoks are Ukrainian headdresses. And instead of just doing a typical traditional Ukrainian vinok, I incorporated it with a pussy hat. Ones that were being used at the time for feminist rallies and protests. For one of the Gogol Bordello shows, I wore one of my vinoks to the show, lost it in the crowd, and somehow it got onto Eugene's head on stage. Currently I'm working on a couple of projects for Gogol Bordello. Tandalea and I are making a flower jacket for Ashley Tobias, the backup singer. I don't like sing backup singer, I like sing one of the singers. And it's called a flower jacket. It's huge, made of all these flowers. And Ashley approached Tandalea and I to make her this flower coat, flower jacket. She says she was at the Cleveland Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, where she saw CeeLo's coat made of flowers, and she was very inspired because we had done flower work before in other pieces. I'm also working on a vest for Eugene that's called a Hutzul vest. Hutzul is a Ukrainian micro-ethnic group in the mountains of Carpathian Mountains, and hence his name Hutzul. So I'm taking a style of folk fashion they wear and making him a little vest, hopefully to wear on stage. I'm hoping he likes it. And I'm sure that Tandalea will do some sewing on the back, some motifs that make it extra special.